Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be watching the video. Welcome back to my channel of DJam. I hope you're all doing amazingly well. What I'm going to be doing for you today is bringing you my first ever video on Football Manager 2017. In particular, looking at my beloved team, Norwich City Football Club. Going through a bit of a squad review and also staff review, because there's a couple of things on here which I wanted to bring to your attention, particularly due to the staffing problems. But we'll get more into that in a bit. But the main thing is to have a look at the general squad, see who Football Manager have rated as the best player, the most expensive, who they think has got the most potential, and then I'll talk to you about who I personally feel is the most overrated player that Football Manager have given, and also who is the most underrated player. I think you might be able to guess who the most underrated player is, because he started off the season so well. But that's enough of me jibber jabbering. I'm just going to let these players kind of roll on until the very end. And yeah, I'll see you all in a few moments when we have a proper look and a little bit more in depth of the Norwich City football squad for FM 17. So that's had a little bit of a look on how each individual player performing. In terms of an actual value, how Football Manager rate it is that Robbie Brady is the most expensive player within our squad. Johnny Howson and Tim Close followed up quite high actually in terms of monetary value. We've got Bennett, Tetty, Olsen, Pritchard down there. They're the most expensive players. According to this, the lowest value, you probably can't see it because I think I'm covering the screen, Stephen Whittaker at £425,000. I'd probably say that's about right. In terms of an overall report, again, Robbie Brady, Johnny Howson top the potential list in terms of their actual ability. So they're saying that Brady and Howson are the best players that we have as a squad. Closely followed by Wes Hoolahan, now at the grand old age of 34. He's not going to have much of a monetary value now because you're not going to get much out of him in terms of his legs for future years, but he is the third best player according to the game, I'd probably say, because they've got the same ability, same potential and same sort of like overall ability. I would probably say Wes is our best player overall, but obviously he's been rated third on here just because of his monetary value. Again, in terms of one of our worst players, there's a whole host of players on 3-star ability and 3-star potential. Basong, Dorrans, McGovern, Whittaker, Lafferty, Ruddy, Martin, Jarvis and also Cameron Jerome. So in terms of potential ability, according to Football Manager, Josh Murphy and Sergi Canos are there going to potentially be 4-star rated players, which is pretty decent. At the moment, they're both currently rated 3-star. Jacob Murphy, who's down the list as well, and James Maddison, 3, potentially 4-star. So that is, that's actually quite interesting in terms of what Football Manager predict they're going to be. So that is the main crux of it. But in terms of what my personal opinion of this is, I think Football Manager have done a pretty good job in assessing our squad. I mean, for example, I'm just going to give you someone here. Ivo Pinto. We all love Ivo Pinto as Norwich fans. Physically, his attributes are pretty spot on. But I think defensively, him and Olsen are not very good as being proper out-and-out defenders. They're more of an attacking option down either wing. So I think the stats that they've got in terms of defending, 12 for marking, 12 for tackling, 11 for marking, positional sense of 10, concentration of 9 is probably an accurate reflection of what, well, for me personally, I would say that's an accurate reflection. In terms of someone who has been overrated on here, this is not going to please many Norwich fans, but Alex Tetty is probably the most overrated player within our squad. I personally don't think his stats should be that high. Things like tackling and marking, I think on his day, he's a very, very good player. But I think when he comes up to the Premier League, he gets found out. And those stats are actually probably a reflection of someone you would get in the lower half of the Premier League. So for me, he's probably the most overrated player. And in terms of the most underrated player, well, there's no question about this, that he's going to Jacob Murphy. Now, no one expected him to have as good a season as what he's had so far. I'm going to hold my hands up. If out of the two, I thought that Josh was going to be pipping it ahead of his brother, but Jacob has done remarkably well. The only good attributes he actually has on the game are his acceleration and his pace. But if you watch him in real life, I actually think he's a lot better than this. I think his decisionings are slightly better than a 9. I think his crossing and dribbling's better than the stats that they're at. In terms of his long shots, his passing, I think he's actually a lot better than this. But you'll probably see more of an update for Jacob Murphy in the January update for Football Manager. That'll be it for the playing squad. What I want you guys to leave me down below in the comment section is, who do you think is the most overrated player in the team? Again, go back and look at the previous parts of the video if you want to pause at any time. Who's the most underrated? Who's the most overrated? Who's our best player in our squad at the moment? And any interesting stats that you think pop up on here that you think are quite useful to look at and have a bit of a review later on. Leave that down in the comment section. So in terms of the actual staffing, this is something where I was particularly disappointed with. Now, Football Manager work closely with every club, so the staffing situation is bang on the money. Whether or not you agree with the stats for each individual coach is another matter, but when you actually look at this, we are severely lacking in the number of coaches within our first team squad. Obviously, the manager is Alex Neil in real life. I'm there just for the purpose of this video. You've got Frankie McAvoy, who is the assistant manager, and according to this, his best attribute on here is he's technical. Other than that, the rest of his stats are bang average. We've got one goalkeeper coach in Dean Kiley, who's a very, very good goalkeeper coach. We've got Nick Davies as our fitness, who could arguably be doing better. And the only coach we have is Alan Irvine. Now, his stats are not that impressive. They're not impressive at all. But what is alarming is the fact that we only have the one goalkeeper coach. We only have the one fitness coach. We don't have anybody who is a proper defensive coach, a tactical coach, a technical coach. We're severely lacking in that area. And it's not just with the first team. It is with all other areas of it as well. In terms of the under-23s, there's only the under-23 manager. We have a sports scientist, but no other coaches, no assistant, no fitness coaches, no goalkeeping coaches. It's all very, very thin on the ground. And again, in terms of the under-18s, I don't know if you can see much of this because of this weird logo. We've got a goalkeeper coach, a fitness coach, but according to this, we have no manager. Now, again, I don't know whether or not that is true. In terms of real life, I think we've got that sorted now. But no under-18s coaches. No under-18s manager. Severely lacking in the coaching department. And I think in terms of a defensive coach, we're severely lacking and missing. And I think that's something that's actually costing us in real life. Now, you may think I'm reading just too much into a game, but these guys at Football Manager and SI normally get their stuff pretty spot on. And I happen to agree with them. I think Alex Neil seriously needs to look at this as something that moving forward, he needs to get more coaches in. But, hey, as I said, that could just be me overreacting. But that's enough of the squad review for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe to the channel if you are new and you want to see more content from me. This is just the first FM17 video that I'm going to be bringing out. As always on the channel, until we see each other next time though, adios.